call. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Rupini Padma Devi Dasi from Orlando, Florida.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for joining. Mataji, is our hostess joined or not?
Yes, Mataji, she's there. This is Jili's phone. That is
I can't hear you, Mataji. Can you please repeat?
if you see Jili's phone, that is Jayashree Mataji.
Okay.
She is there, Mataji.
Yeah. Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Today we are so fortunate to have Her Grace Jai Shri Mataji from New Vrindavan. And today Mataji is going to enlighten us on Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 8, Chapter 2, Verse 1 and onwards. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Whenever you are ready, please take over the call.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Hare Krishna. Nice to meet you all. 1 second. All right. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janabhava Girivaradari Yasodanandana Vrajajanarandana Yasodanandana Vrajajanarandana Yamuna Tira Anachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Haribo. Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gaur Haribo. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajakacharya Strater Satyas Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajakacharya Strater Satya His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Kurta Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sri Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jamuna Maya ki jai, Ganga Maya ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Srimati Tulsi Devi ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, New Vrindavan Dham ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Granka. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from the Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 8, Chapter 2, Text number 1. Shamagori? I'm not Shamagori, I'm sorry. Can you do the Sanskrit, please?
Yes, Mataji. Chamarasika here.
Samarasika. I know, I just talked to Shamagori.
Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam 8.2.1. Shri Shuka Uvacha Asid Girivaro Rajam Strikuta iti Vishrutaha Shiro Dena Vrittaha Shriman Yojana Yutta Vrichitaha. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. And my apologies for I've got some kind of a cold. My voice sounds more like a frog than usual. Sri Sukha Vacha, Sri Sukadev Goswami said, Asit, there was Grivavraha, a very big mountain, Rajan, O king, Trikutaha, Trikuta, Iti thus, Vishrudaha, celebrated, Shir Utenda, Tena, by the ocean of milk, Avata, surrounded, Shriman, very beautiful, Yagya, a measurement of 8 miles, Ayutam, 10,000, Uchitaha, very high. Translation, Sukadeva Goswami said, my dear king, there is a very large mountain called Chitrakoot. It is 10,000 yojanas, 80,000 miles high. Being surrounded by the ocean of milk, it is very beautifully situated. I'm going to do the next one also. The length and breadth of the mountains are the same measurement, 80,000 miles. Its 3 principal peaks, which are made of iron, silver, and gold, beautify all directions and the sky. The mountain also has other peaks which are full of jewels and minerals and are decorated with nice trees, creepers, and shrubs. The sounds of the waterfalls of the mountains create a pleasing vibration. In this way, the mountain stands, increasing the beauty of all directions. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nirvisesa Sinyavadi Vishnachadeshta. Om Agyanatimirandasya Vinanjana Salakaya Chakshurim Militamyena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha. We're born in the darkness of ignorance, but our spiritual master is kindly opening our eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. So we offer our most humble and respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such spiritual masters. So we see the descriptions of the mountains surrounded by an ocean of milk. We see a totally different dimension than we see on this planet. This planet is not nearly as opulent, especially with the low consciousness of the people in general. On this planet, we have the Iron Age of Kali. In the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are several verses. The sages have assembled. They're concerned about the living entities in this particular age. They've assembled at Namisharan, and Sutta Goswami is their leader. They're trying to perform sacrifices, knowing well that in this age, liberation and spiritual consciousness and spiritual movement of the living entities will be very limited and difficult. One of the verses, it's, "O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, men are almost always..." I'm going to read two different translations of this verse. One is from Prabhupada's original book that he brought over from India. And then we'll read from his Bhaktivedanta Book Trust translation. I thought it was interesting that they are different. O learned, this is from the one Prabhupada brought over from India. O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, men almost always have but short lives. They're quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. Okay, wait a minute. And then in his newer version, in the Iron Age of Kali, oh, well, wait a minute. I had both of them here, but it's disappeared somehow or other. My apologies. I had both of them here, but somehow or other disappeared. Okay, so the one I just read is actually from the present Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, but the other one was different. Men, oh no, here it is. Men of the Iron Age of Kali are almost always meager in their duration of life. Oh, the member of learned society, they are not only so, but they are very lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. Prabhupada's original Bhagvatams are quite beautiful and a little different from what we find from the BBT now. I thought it was interesting. In the Iron Age of Kali, there are some beautiful places, right? We can go to the forest, we can go to Mount Fuji, we can go to the Amazon, or maybe on a safari. We can see some beautiful things in this world. Of course, there's always difficulties involved with them, you know, mosquitoes and gnats and wild animals and different things. But here it's talking about a mountain of gold and a mountain of silver. Those kind of things we can't see, nor can we see an ocean of milk. And unfortunately, our oceans are becoming contaminated and polluted with garbage and all kinds of refuse from the misguided populace of this age of Kali. When people are not in God consciousness, not in Krishna consciousness, they are full speed ahead for materialism, for getting more and more, buying more. I'm going to change all the furniture in my house this year. I'm going to change the curtains. Let's get different dishes. Maybe we need a new car. Well, this house doesn't really suit us. Let's get one over there with a swimming pool. It's like the mind of the living entity is not peaceful. They're not content. And so they're running after so many varieties. And in order to fulfill the rampant desires of the living entities of this age, the consumer market expands, right? We go, and there's all kinds of malls, and you can shop online. We can get more in different colors and bigger sizes. And this is cute. Let me get this. Let me get rid of that. It's like almost like a disease. You know, the living entity is misguided. And then the people that are making money are helping them be misguided. So we see our oceans are full of plastic bottles and cups, and the people of the age are not mindful. They're just not mindful of what they're doing, about keeping their plastic in a place, if they're out, keeping the plastic in their car in a place where they can recycle it. So the oceans have become polluted. So we hear about this ocean of milk in a totally different place than where we're living. Prabhupada himself, when he was here, he was pushing for simple living and high thinking. I know here in New Vrindavan, the houses that he designed for the devotees, we call them Prabhupada houses, they were very small. I mean, really unusually small. They were very simple. Prabhupada's idea, which most people have not been able to follow, but the pure devotees giving the best, give half of your money, live extremely simple, and just read and hear about Krishna. So if he didn't set the high standard, when we fall to our common standard, it would be much lower than what we do now. So Prabhupada was pushing simple living and high thinking. And if the populace of the world followed that direction instead of what we see in all the advertisements that are constantly in our face, then we would have a taste for a more simple life. Whatever a great man does, other men follow. And sometimes the greatness is not great in the idea that we think of pure and spiritual. The greatness in our world that people are following are not spiritually advanced people, but they are prominent and they are putting a lot out to mislead, like it says, they're misguided. So the civilization is being misguided. And so there's a lot of pollution and garbage and cutting of trees and ruining of the planet in so many ways. And Prabhupada was totally opposite of that. He could identify different herbs on the ground when he took walks in Hawaii. He had so much practical and common sense. His lifestyle was so simple. You see, when he drank water, he poured it in his mouth. He didn't put his mouth up to it and the water comes in and then part of it goes back into the cup. And then he was super simple, but super clean. Such a nice example. So in 8:119, this is jumping a little forward. Judging from the exhaustive descriptions of the lakes and rivers in Chitrakoot mountain, on Earth there is no comparison to their excellence. On other planets, however, there are many such wonders. For instance, we understand that there are 2 million different types of trees, and not all of them are exhibited on the Earth. Srimad Bhagvatam presents, this is the Prabhupada's purport. Srimad Bhagvatam presents the total knowledge of the affairs of the universe. It not only describes this universe, but also takes into account the spiritual world beyond the universes. No one can challenge the Srimad Bhagavatam's descriptions of the material and spiritual worlds. The attempts to go from the earth to the moon have failed, but the people of the earth can understand what exists on other planets. There is no need of imagination. One may take actual knowledge from the Srimad Bhagavatam. The story of Gajendra, for me, it's actually one of my favorite stories. It's actually a very powerful story. Gajendra's prayers are actually very powerful. It just became a habit of mine, and I don't know who introduced me to it, but in very extreme, distressful times in my life, I have always pulled out the prayers of Gajendra because somebody told me that they would help. And I would say them every single day, all of his prayers. Not necessarily the purports, but I would read the prayers of Gajendra very fervently. And somehow or other, each time the outcome of the crisis that I faced was definitely minimalized. One time, my husband, years and years ago, had parked in front of the Columbus Temple. We lived on Euclid Avenue. There was a little temple there that had been there for many years, and we lived in the building. And he had parked out in front of the temple, and I guess it was some kind of no parking. Anyway, they impounded the car and they were going to arrest him. It was, it was pretty heavy, actually. I don't remember. It wasn't just like he got a ticket. He had to go to court. He was going to be arrested for, I don't even know what it had to do. So he had me saying these prayers when he went before the judge. And he came back and he was astounded. He said, "Were you saying those prayers?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, I went up there, I faced the judge, and right then his eyes rolled back in his head and he passed out." He said they had to carry him out. And he said, and so they threw the case out because that happened. And there was 2 other times where something like that happened, where just, I believe the prayer was just so powerful that it actually made a difference in the outcome. I actually listened to several classes. There's a website, it's like Srimad Bhagvatam classes.com, something like that. So I listened to several different classes on this verse yesterday. And I thought it was interesting. They were so totally different. And one was Chandramauli Swami, and one was a devotee from Chapati. So they were all talking about the extraordinary description of a mountain. What was it, 8,000 miles tall or whatever, just very unusual stuff that we are not familiar with. So sometimes, especially for some people, it's almost like mythology. It's like, wow, yeah, right, a mountain, a fruit that falls from the sky and crashes and makes a river, a bird that can fly in between planets. It sounds so extraordinary. So I was thinking, here we are on the Earth planet, right? And we see what we're used to. We are used to this place, the birds, the trees, the way things work. When the sun comes up, we're kind of acclimated to this particular planet, and rightly so. So when we hear these amazing descriptions, I know for some people there becomes like, whoa, how is that possible? And in the human form of life, we're just not familiar with anything. But if we actually sit back and see the planet that we're on and realize that there's so many things on this planet that we cannot relate to, like at the bottom of the ocean, very deep in the cold, cold, dark ocean, there's life. There's living entities that live there in their own little communities. And the bees, they have their own community, right? What they experience is, they have a hive, they all work in a certain way, they build a very unique, same shape of houses. The ants, if you dig in your garden, sometimes you run across this ant pile that's got all these eggs, and there's like thousands of ants, and they're living. They have little tunnels. They have their communication. Just this particular planet. Oh, I know. I was looking. There's an animal around here. It's an insect, and it's called a cicada. And a cicada is like a grasshopper. And it's so unusual. It spends the majority of its life, 13 to 17 years, underground. Some cicadas are different. They come at different times. Every 7 years, every 2 years, they're different groups. Every 14 years, they come out of the ground, like thousands of them, at least here. They just come out of the ground. They live underground in a nymph stage, feeding on plant root sap. And they live like that for years and years and years, in the freezing ground, in the torrents of rain, in the hot summer. And then they emerge into adults. They reproduce and they die within a few weeks. I mean, that is really unusual. And a common butterfly, it's an egg, and then all of a sudden it becomes a caterpillar. And then a larva in a cocoon. And then it becomes a butterfly. I mean, to us, it's like, yeah. So if these amazing life changes can happen on this planet right in front of our eyes, or even stuff we've never heard of before, why would one doubt that in this huge planetary system, on all these different planets that we see them in the sky, why wouldn't there be all kinds of different lives, different bodies, different lifestyles, different happenings, like a mountain made of gold and silver, or a big tree that has huge mangoes? Why would, it just makes it so much more believable when we study that this particular planet has so many varieties. So the different amazing things that we hear about in the Srimad Bhagvatam are similar to what is happening at all different places at all different times. The simple Earth planet is amazing. It's unusual. It has so many different things. And this helps us understand and accept these far out descriptions in the Bhagavatam. And we're so conditioned still. We're just working on getting out of this conditioning. So we see as the story goes on how the king of the elephants, he becomes hopeless, right? He's in a very dangerous situation, but somehow or other, due to his past, he begins to fervently pray to the Lord for protection. Now, when a devotee spends his life worshiping Krishna, trying to become Krishna conscious, trying to rectify his bad habits, to please the Lord, to act in such a way to please Krishna and to serve Krishna and to please the devotees. The more we do that, the more it's embedded in our consciousness. So you probably have heard about Mother Kamalini recently. She was in a very distressful situation. It was raining very heavy where she lives, which I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe it's North Carolina. And the torrents, the rain had come down, and she goes to the temple every morning and chants her japa, and she was supposed to give class. So like every normal day, she got in her car and started going to the temple. And in front of her, it was early in the morning, there was what looked like a big puddle. Like here in New Vrindavan, there's certain parts of the road that when we have a torrential rain, there's like 8 inches of water on the road. And the little river of water is going from one hill down over the road into the valley. So she saw this puddle, big puddle of water, and she started to go through it to go to the temple. And then she realized that it wasn't just a small puddle. And the water started coming up her door. And she thought, well, she couldn't open her door to get out. And the water was rising quickly. So she rolled the windows down. There was enough electricity left to roll the windows down. And she started chanting, sitting in her car, wondering what was going to happen. As the water got higher and higher, she realized it was going to go over her head. And if you know Kamalini, she's like in her 70s or late 70s. And she and Apurva are not in the best of health. She actually had some kind of a heart attack or some stroke maybe 6 months ago. So there she is, the water's rising, and she's starting to freak out, basically. Because she'd opened the window, she somehow or other pushed herself out the window, feet first, and started floating in this torrent of water. And she said, I just started screaming, Krishna, save me, Krishna, save me, Krishna, save me. She said she was just floating in this river of water, and she couldn't stop herself, and she was just chanting, Krishna, save me. And somehow or other, she got over to the bank and grabbed onto the grasses and pulled herself out of the water. And it just so happened she was by this house. Of course, she didn't know the people. So she was soaking wet and totally frazzled. And she went, and they were so nice. They gave her, because it was cold water. So she was shaking. So she took a shower, and they gave her dry clothes. Anyway, her car, of course, got swept away. But she was yelling the whole time, Krishna, save me, Krishna, save me. It's natural. There's an old saying, there's no atheist in a foxhole. The living entity is connected with God. And whether he realizes it or not, but when such extreme conditions come, almost everyone turns to God. So there was Gajendra. He became in a terrible situation, and he started his prayers. So Krishna has sent us a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada has made a movement that started very grassroots. And the young people, the people that were coming to Srila Prabhupada, became connected to the mission of the Lord. He came over in such an extraordinary way. He was such an amazing example Krishna gave us. He showed us the struggle of a pure devotee, right? He could have just sent Prabhupada over with a rich person and all of a sudden he established temples and, oh, wow. But that's not what happened. Prabhupada struggled. He took sannyas and he lived in very, very simple. He was starving sometimes. He was hungry. Even when he was in some of the temples in India, you hear stories that Prabhupada was hungry. He was struggling. It was a struggle. He was struggling to print the books, to go to Delhi, to walk to the printer, to save the little bit of money for the paper, to print the books. He struggled. He came over on a cargo ship. Can you imagine? 35 days on a cargo ship. You're flying over the ocean. You have great seasickness. You have a heart attack, and then you have another heart attack. I mean, this is Prabhupada. This is Krishna's pure devotee, bringing a message of devotional service across the ocean. But that struggle simply glorified Srila Prabhupada and gave us a real life example of how to deal with our own crisis. Prabhupada didn't give up. He had faith that Krishna was in control. And he prayed. His prayers were a little different than ours because we're very covered over. Prabhupada's prayers were like in the Boston Harbor, after the 35 days on the cargo ship, after the heart attack, after the seasickness. He was praying. He wasn't praying, Krishna, give me a nice life, give me people who will give me money so I can buy a place I can live. He was praying, my dear Lord, you brought me here to this place. And they don't know you as Krishna. How are they going to understand this high philosophy of no illicit sex life, no gambling, no meat eating, no intoxication? That's just the base. And how are they going to understand with all these bad habits, these high, pure teachings? So what did he say? He said, you've brought me here, so you make me a success or a failure as you like. I'm simply your puppet. You make me dance. However you want me to dance, you make me dance. That's amazing. We're so used to hearing these things, but try and think that way on your own. See if you can do it. When you get into a car accident, see if you can think like that. We're going to cry to Krishna, Krishna help us, Krishna save us, because we're in a different category than Srila Prabhupada. Even in New York, it was snowing. Prabhupada had never seen snow. He wasn't prepared for snow. He didn't come over with a big wardrobe. I look at my closet sometimes and I go, oh my God, Why do I have so many clothes? What do I need? I don't even wear half of these clothes. So I put them in the free store. I mean, it's really, it's almost like a disease. The society that we live in is promoting this type of consciousness. And we as conditioned souls are enjoying consciousness. We want all these different things. Anyway, so we have to check ourselves and be happy in our lifestyle. Prabhupada was so powerful that just by his association, actually it's Prabhupada's faith in Krishna. He had faith that Krishna had brought him there. He had faith in the words of his spiritual master. Faith is the key to devotional service. That faith. I mean, we hear it over and over again in the Bhagvatam. If one just has a pinch of faith in Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, simply by our faith, Prabhupada inspired faith. Just Prabhupada's association was enough to inspire a whole generation of people to give up what they knew as their own lifestyle for years, just to give it up and to follow Srila Prabhupada. His faith made Krishna a reality. Prabhupada's faith brought Krishna into reality, into the purview of life. And there was no doubt. Oh, you want me to go to London and live in a garage with 3 other couples and have nothing but a cardboard box separating us? Sure. Prabhupada said, let's do it. You want us to go to the airport and try and distribute a book that no one's ever heard of before, that they can't even pronounce? Sure. Let's do it. Prabhupada said, give up your whole lifestyle, don't go work, and just do devotional service. Prabhupada said, sure, we believe it, let's just do it. That's how this movement started. It was Prabhupada's faith and connection with Krishna that infused those people around him to give up everything and just run after what he was giving. But it was all good. It was all beneficial for the world. It was changing the way the world sees things. Yesterday, I was in line at the Sunday feast getting a plate for my god sister who is unable to walk. And there was this young man in front of me. Well, I say young, but he was probably 50 years old. To me, that's young nowadays. So, just a local young guy, a West Virginia young man. And he had a little daughter. She must have been about 6 or 7. And he was in front of me and he wanted her to go play with this little Indian girl. But she wouldn't go because she was too shy. So I said, I'll hold your place in line. Go ahead. So he went and he came back and we started talking. And come to find out, he said, I come up here periodically. He said, I knew the young people that went to school from here. He was a friend of my oldest son's generation. When my oldest son's generation went to high school, they went from our Gurukula. Our Gurukula closed actually when they were in junior high. And then they went to high school. They went to junior high and high school at the local schools. When we heard certain activities had gone in on our schools closed, our kids went to public schools. So this young man had just been friends. You know, he's a Karmi kid from a school and just met our kids. And I'll tell you, the school was very difficult. This school was difficult for the youth. It was not done well. And our youth was very rebellious after they got out of the school. So it's not like they went to the public school with a tilak and a shaved head and were preaching Krishna consciousness. They were ready to get out of the school because there was some bad stuff going on that we didn't know about. Anyway, here's this karmic kid. He befriends our children, and just by their association, he said, I became a vegetarian. He said, and my parents thought I was crazy. He said, my parents still think I'm crazy. He said, but I come up here regularly, not all the time. And he does some kind of practice at home just by the association of our rebellious teenagers at the time. I was actually quite amazed. But our children had learned, and just by their own lifestyle, their simple, whatever they had picked up in Krishna consciousness, had a great influence on a lot of people. And you see it over and over again. What we have is a jewel. Prabhupada's given us a jewel, and he's enlivened and enlightened so many other great souls. Look at the immense amount of wonderful teachers and books and temples and projects we have nowadays. We have so many great teachers, some that are well known and some that are not so well known. It's just such a good fortune. And if we can stay on the boat of Krishna consciousness, we can make progress in this life. We may not become a pure devotee, but we are getting saturated by our hearing and our chanting and the service, the loving service that we're able to experience. Sometimes in the beginning of devotional service, when we're a neophyte, we're looking to gratify ourselves. I want to get out of suffering. I want to get out of this body. It's all about me, mine. I want this. I want Krishna to do this for me. But then the more we advance, we see the examples of the great souls. Prabhupada didn't want anything except to push on this movement. He wanted to serve the heart of the Lord in pushing on this movement to help purify and uplift the living entities, because they have a tendency to spiral downwards, lower and lower and lower. So he sends his son. He says, whenever and wherever there's a decline in the principles of religion, I come myself. I send my representative, my son, my servant. And so we're living in a time where we don't have to do much to find that association. We turn on a computer, we hear it, we hear the association, we see the Mangalarti and in Mayapur or Chowpatty or New Vrindavan. We associate through hearing with Radha Swami, Chandramali Swami, Indradumna Swami, Sachinandan Swami, Malati, Urmila, are people that we don't even have never heard before. So we can make that advancement very easily, just with the touch of a button. We don't have to walk miles to a temple to go to one Mangal Arti. You know, we're really fortunate. So our hearts are changing. Instead of the I, me, and mine mentality, we are able to have our consciousness change to what's going to please Krishna. What can I do today to please Krishna? How can I help another devotee or do a service or distribute a book, or, you know, that is our advancement. We're becoming devotees, whether you embrace me or kill me. Krishna's, I'm sorry, could you mute, please? I'm hearing a conversation. So if you could mute, that would be helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Probably. Thank you. Anyway, so we have good fortune and we can take advantage of it as much as possible. We may not understand a lot in the Bhagvatam about a mountain that's that high and that wide with a golden peak. But we can with our faith, and we can understand by seeing our Earth planet how much we don't understand of that. So it's exciting to go on to hear the prayers of Gajendra and see what happens to him. And to see the Krishna magic in our own lives. We see so much of it. So Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, we know what to do. We know what is right. But we have what he called a stubborn obstinacy to do the wrong thing. So we have to guard ourselves against our own stubborn obstinacy. And I looked the word obstinacy up. And it's stubbornly refusing to change one's opinion or chosen course of action, despite attempts to persuade one to do so. So we have the great souls trying to persuade us to change our course of action in this life. Don't gossip. Don't find fault. Don't eat that unoffered food because you're out. Don't, you know, but we have the stubborn obstinacy to do what we want to do, even though it's against higher and more sound opinion. So that's something we have to deal with and change. And then we'll make more advancement. All right, so it's time to stop. Thank you so much. Hope you haven't all gone to sleep. Sorry, I'm not as entertaining and wonderful as Radha Swami. He was just here. It was so nice to have his association. We're fortunate. There are some perks of being an older devotee. We had a lunch at Nityodita's house, the old devotees. We had just us. We had lunch with Maharaj. And it was like, he started, we were supposed to eat at 1:30. And at 2:15, he hadn't even stopped talking yet. It was so nice. And then there's an area here, one of the original areas. It's called Bahulaban. The first temple in New Vrindavan was the old farm, old Vrindavan, which we just renovated. And then after that, they bought a property and built a building, two buildings actually, by a temple that was just a house, a small old farmhouse that was really small. And in that area, that's where the devotees lived. Super, super, super simple. Like 2 or 3 of them lived in one room that was like 10 by 10. They had their babies there. Mother Katila was telling us the story. I had a birthday the other day, and so Malati had a birthday party for me. And she was telling the story how she, in Bahulaban, they had some old funky trailers. Not like we see now, not like a nice, fancy 3-bedroom trailer. She was in there having her baby with no doctor, no midwife, like her husband. And, it's like, what? This was austerity. They really didn't have anything. And Prabhupada went there several times and gave classes in the tiny temple room when it was just a handful of devotees, and they were living so simply. And he gave a lot of instructions about New Vrindavan there. So Radhanath Swami, Nityodita, Advaita, Siddhanu, a lot of, like Varshana Swami, like 7 of the old timers that were living in Bahulaban at the time. They're going to renovate and make Bahulaban a parikram area. And they're just trying to it's all overgrown. They're just trying to figure out. So they went on a walk in Bahulaban, just as this group of like 70-year-old men that had lived there with Maharaj and Maharaj, trying to decide what to do and how to do it, what the best way. Should we do it this way? Should we do it that way? Should we incorporate modern technology with videos, or should we keep it very grassroots like Prabhupada had intended? So Maharaj had talked to Malati the day before, and he invited her to come. And by Krishna's grace, she invited me to come. So I went too. And it was just so wonderful to hear about the old days and what Prabhupada did then and how he did it, what he wanted. And Radhanath Maharaj was talking about the potency of a place where a pure devotee of Prabhupada's caliber actually walked and did things and instructed. How that place is just so powerful. It was really something to think about, like the places of pilgrimage that we go to. We go there because it was a pastime place of a very powerful, potent person, or the Lord's pastimes himself with his entourage. So New Vrindavan is growing in a wonderful way. So we can look forward to that being done in the next few years, so that in the West, we have more places of pilgrimage. And New Vrindavan has so much. The old farmhouse where Prabhupada lived up at Old Vrindavan, I mean, you have to come here to see. It's just a very small building, and it's got some stairs that are so steep inside to go up to the loft that's there. I mean, they're really difficult to climb if you're old because they're so steep. And Prabhupada lived up there for a month. And they wanted to see if he wanted amenities, modern amenities, but he didn't want them. He just wanted to live up in that atmosphere and go out into the forest and relieve himself and shower or bathe. It's so valuable. On the walk, I encourage them to all write it so that we can make a book. Because unless you hear it from the people that lived it and heard it from Prabhupada, it just kind of passes through the mind. But that association is so wonderful and so valuable. Anyway, we're very fortunate. Jai, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees. Okay, I'm done.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mother Jayashree. It was very nice to hear you, your all experiences, like about your son's friend who became a vegetarian, or some realizations from Maharaj when Maharaj visited New Vrindavan. So it was really nice to hear all about. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
I'm a very grassroots speaker. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Geeta.
Hello, Hare Krishna Gita.
Yeah, I don't know whether you remember we met at Geeta Nagri briefly, and it was really nice.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for this, very, very, I must say, informative class. And all your classes are always so practical with your personal experiences, which makes it, so much more interesting. Mataji, I'm reading the Gajendra Ashtakam. It's pretty long, right?
Yes, yes.
So, I'm sure you know it by heart, right?
No, I don't know it by heart. I sat and read it every day. When there was really, really intense situations, I got my Bhagvatam and I sat and read his whole prayer every day.
Oh, beautiful, Mataji.
Well, when something is super intense, you have to have some shelter and you got to call out to Krishna. It's not, I mean, in my condition, like Kamalini calling, Krishna, save me, Krishna, save me, Krishna, save me. You know, she was like Gajendra calling out, Krishna, save me. So when I'm in an extreme situation, I have to have a way to ask Krishna to help me. So to repeat his prayers that he's calling out to Krishna, and Krishna comes personally and saves them. You know, I've found it to be so helpful.
Right. I mean, the court case was amazing that the judge got the case was thrown out, right? That was amazing.
Yes. And there was another court case for something else. And I did the same thing. And when it came to that case, this was with a different person. When it came to that case, the judge said, I'm going to do something that I've never done before. He said, I see this person is a good person. So I'm going to do something I've never done before. And instead of giving them a very heavy, difficult situation, he gave them a very light, minor reaction.
Wow.
I believe it's due to the intensity of the prayer and surrender, you know.
Yes. Thank you, Mataji. Very helpful. Thank you so much. Till now, I was reading Hanuman Chalisa in my, when one was looking for some quick, rescue from the Lord. But definitely, we'll try to add this. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And there's the Nishringa Kavacha also.
Which one, Mataji?
Nishringa Kavacha.
Uh-huh.
The Kavacha that protected Lord Indra It's the Nishringa Kavacha. I mean, not Nishringa Kavacha, Narayana Kavacha. Protected Indra when he was fighting with Vritasura.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Okay, are we done?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Madhavan Pranam to you.
Hello, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. We are so happy to have you here with us. When you're not there, we feel like a space missing, because but it's so nice. You go for a vacation to California and other places. And I hope you're doing well with your health, Mataji. That was always my concern.
Yes, thank you. It's not a vacation. It's that it gets pretty intense. Last year was an extreme winter here. And,
Okay.
to stay.
Plus, you have family there too, right?
I just go for the winter. I mean, I went for an extended time the first year because I was seeing doctors there and I had my son. If it had turned really bad that I was dying, then I had my son there. I was just protecting myself.
Nice, Mataji. Sorry to use the word vacation because I know
No, that's okay.
devotees don't go for vacation, It's like one time somebody said, to retire. I think it's like, I'm just paraphrasing kind of a thing. So Srila Prabhupada said there's no retirement. There's no retirement in Krishna consciousness, We're always serving. So
Right.
no vacation, no retirement. We just, I'm sure there also you're enlightening so many people, even if, you're not coming on a call. So, and of course, it's important to be with family, also your son and others like that. So, yeah, Mataji, wonderful class, realizations, as Geeta Mataji was saying. It's like, I'm really looking forward for the Gajendra prayers because, it's like being an animal and how from these prayers I try to understand that, when they say that Krishna is residing in everyone's heart and even the animals. And here, there are so many places where, even here, India, all over the world, they're slaughtering animals and doing all these things. And it's like yesterday only, it was raining a lot here in Florida. We are from us, and there were two birds. They're these long crane birds. I don't know what they're called. They have a long neck and they're gray color and they move around in pairs. So those birds were like taking shelter of the tree. So what happened is like we ourselves, when it's pouring rain, we go under the tree because we know the rain will not fall so much directly, the
Right.
cold water. So they are so intelligent and they can't even speak, and it's like they're standing under the tree and it's like pouring outside and taking shelter. And sometimes you even see the cows, like in like big fields, there is a big tree and all the cows they have so much sense that they can feel the heat of the sun and they come and sit under the tree. And then people, don't have this empathy. They don't even bother about the fact that, see how I feel people who eat meat and stuff like that, they should actually observe animals. They should see these animals are so human like.
Yes.
And so it's like when you were giving example of that that something that survived under and eating the sap of the tree. So it's like they have so much of like one thing I wanted to share is like uh, previously where I was staying, I moved now to a different place, but we had a pond. So, and there were lizards and frogs coming all the time, like they were there. So I thought like, and then the severe winter came. We do have severe winter, but it's not continuous here in Florida. So what happened is that when the spring came and these lizards were back there was a green lizard specifically. I thought, I don't know whether it'll survive or not. It was a baby lizard. And I like to also observe nature. And it was right there. And I said, how did she survive, And I was as I was like thinking that, my God, how I was talking to the lizard. Because, one time I heard His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj would sometimes, who left us, he was in the Delhi temple. If there's a pile of ants, he would go and stand there and chant to the ants, because like how they're building and there's a eggs there's a queen ant, is very, very interesting. These things really interest me. And the best thing you said in your classes, that when all these things are going on and then we say we don't have faith in Krishna, every living creature he's given special how everybody's surviving, it's like
Amazing.
it's amazing. It's amazing. We should. I sometimes I feel like going for this, deep into the forest and see the creation. Like we see red birds sometimes here, parrots. Where the color comes in their body.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the
Mm-hmm.
flowers are coming with so much of fragrance we're offering to Krishna. These birds are like, amazing how they're just eating whatever from the trees, and whatever they've eaten, their body has become colored. It's so mesmerizing. So like you put in the class, like previously 2 classes back we heard last week that there's a mountain of honey. There's a mountain of no, sorry, not mountain, sorry, I'm like, my mistake, ocean. There's an ocean of honey. So it's like sometimes like I'm thinking that last week only I was developing no faith, and I'm thinking, how can they be honey is so thick, what will they do with it? But see, with Krishna and everything is possible. There must be a reason that's there. you know so I try to also find more and more faith through nature, and
Mm-hmm.
otherwise sometimes it's just very hard to understand Srimad Bhagavatam. But when we connect it to our daily life and see living entities, it's uh, it's very nice. So like when you spoke today, all these realizations were coming because I also was going through observing these birds here and all these things. So thank you so much, Mataji, for. But only thing is, I did not connect it to faith in Krishna, but you did. So thank you so much for like, I mean, like nature things how going on, that also should increase our everything should increase our faith. That's what I realized from your class today. Thank you so much, Mataji. I don't have a specific question, but it's I just pray that you keep coming to our class and enlightening us, and I feel more closely connected to Srila Prabhupada when I hear from you, Mataji. Thank you once again. Thank you once again. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for your always nice comments.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam. Honorable Krishna Prabhupada Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for such a wonderful class, Mataji. And yes, we met at Gita Nagari with Gita Mataji and Sulekha Mataji. And Mataji was so kind to us, and we spent a very little tiny time with her, but it was so memorable. And your association was so wonderful, Mataji. And I hope you had Puran Polis we made, Shamagori Mataji and myself.
Yes, it was nice to see everybody there. It was wonderful.
Yes, and especially you loved Puran Poli. So Mataji, Shamagori Mataji said, let's make it for Maharaj and Mataji also.
I know, because I always say to her, Shamagori, where's my sweet
Yeah,
paratha?
I told her,
I'm only
because,
joking. I don't expect her to make them. I was totally surprised when she made them.
yeah,
It's a lot of work.
we got service to cook for Maharaj, and then we thought we should do this also.
Okay, good,
And
good.
then I told her to make a separate packet for you so that you can enjoy
Thank
more
you. Yes, thank
many
you.
days.
Wonderful.
So, thank you so much, and thank you for sharing experience or Maharaja's visit with the Babu Lavan and everything. So I was waiting for that.
Exciting.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Mhm.
Does
Okay.
anybody has any
Mataji,
question
please
or
share the
comment?
recipe of Puran Poli.
Yeah, sure.
Or like it's not like coming from the culture. I'm from Delhi, so maybe I can make it from the best YouTube recipe
Yeah.
and
Or
offer here.
I will send you the best
Yes,
Maharashtrian
Mataji.
recipe from YouTube. Yeah.
Offer also to Guru Maharaj and others we are connected to. Thank you, Mataji.
Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Sure, I will do that. So anybody has any question or comment? Okay. So let's end up the call here by paying obeisances to all the Vaishnavas. Pancha kalpatarvescha kripa sindhu vaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय।
जय
समाचार्य श्रीदास ठाकुर की जय।
जय
श्रील प्रभुपाद की
की
जय।
जय
श्री श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय।
जय
हरे जय श्री माता जी की जय।
जय।
जय
थैंक यू सो मच माता जी। हरे कृष्ण।
थैंक यू माता
हरे
जी।
कृष्ण
हरे
हरे
कृष्णा
माता जी
हरे
हरे
कृष्णा
Glory
I,
to the
we will be there on 21st July with senior connection group. I think 28 senior people are coming on the bus. So
Yeah,
okay,
I'm not going anywhere.
okay, I will be there. So hope to see
Okay,
you.
good.
Hare
All
Krishna.
right,
हरे
हरे
कृष्णा
कृष्ण
हरे
हरे
कृष्णा
कृष्ण हरे
Thank
बोल
you. Hare
हरि बोल
Krishna.
हरि
हरे
बोल हरि बोल